There is a printer sitting in the corner of a room inside Bangladesh Bank in February of 2016. An ordinary office machine. Nobody thinks about it. That printer is the only local witness to the theft of $81 million, and the people who took the money had already thought about it months in advance and written code specifically to silence it. $951 million was requested that night. 81 million cleared. Not one person entered a building. This is how it happened. Long before the money moved, someone was already inside. Researchers at the British defense contractor BAE Systems, who later reverse-engineered the malware, found something that tells you how long this had been running. The attackers had been using a server in Egypt to monitor how Bangladesh Bank's own staff used the SWIFT system. Not to steal anything, to watch, to learn what a normal transfer looked like, who sent them, and when. They weren't breaking down a door, they were memorizing the floor plan. And what they found when they looked around was, by any standard, appalling. Bangladesh police investigators would later state that the bank's computer security was seriously deficient, lacking even basic precautions like firewalls and relying on used $10 switches in its local networks. $10 switches on the network that authorized the movement of hundreds of millions of dollars through the global financial system. Refer before recording. The phishing email origin, the length of time the attackers sat inside the network, and the password token reportedly left plugged into the SWIFT server. None of these are in your 4 sources. Cut or source them. So when the attackers finally moved, they didn't have to force anything. They walked in and began issuing transfer requests against Bangladesh Bank's reserve account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. $951 million in total, aimed at accounts in Sri Lanka and the Philippines. Most of those payments were blocked. $81 million was not. But moving the money was only half of what the malware was built to do. The other half was making sure nobody in Dhaka found out. BAE identified a specific component of the attacker's toolkit, a file named evtdiag.exe. It was compiled close to the date of the heist. It contained detailed information about the bank's operations, and it had been uploaded to a public malware repository from Bangladesh. Here is what it did. Once installed, evtdiag.exe made a small change to the code of the SWIFT Alliance Access software running on the bank's own machines. The client software that logs every message a bank sends and receives over the SWIFT network. That change gave the attackers the ability to reach into the database underneath it. From there, it could delete records of outgoing transfer requests entirely. It could intercept the incoming messages confirming the transfers the attackers had ordered. It could manipulate account balances in the logs so the theft wouldn't show up in a reconciliation. And it manipulated the printer that produced the hard copies of transfer requests so that the bank would not identify the attack through those printouts. That last one is the detail that matters, because the printout was the one safeguard that existed outside the digital system. A piece of paper doesn't care what the database says. Someone wrote code specifically to defeat that piece of paper. Adrian Nish, BAE's head of threat intelligence, put it this way: "I can't think of a case where we have seen a criminal go to the level of effort to customize it for the environment they were operating in. And then, I guess it was the realization that the potential payoff made that effort worthwhile." He had been looking at criminal hacking for years. He had never seen this. Refer before recording. The specific morning after sequence, the named duty director, the printer model, the exact dates, and the Chinese New Year timing. Not in your 4 sources. Either source them or write this section from what BAE and Reuters actually state. While Dhaka was still trying to work out what had happened, the money in Manila was already gone. The $81 million landed at the Jupiter Street branch of Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation in Makati. The branch manager there was a woman named Maya Santos Digito. According to testimony at the Philippine Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearings, the chain worked like this. A Chinese junket agent named Gao Shuhua was introduced to Digito by casino junket operator Kim Wong in order to open an account. Accounts were opened. Money came in. It moved to accounts in the name of businessman William Sogo. From there to a foreign exchange company called PhilRem Services Corporation, run by Michael and Salud Bautista. PhilRem converted the dollars into Philippine pesos. The pesos went to Kim Wong, and from Wong into the casinos. That's the whole route, and every step of it was named under oath. Pesos matter here. Once $81 million becomes Philippine pesos and walks onto a casino floor, it stops being traceable in any practical sense. Senator Ralph Recto sat across from these men and said the thing everyone in the room already knew. Lahat kayo magkakilala. You all know each other. He wasn't wrong. Wong knew Lorenzo Tan, the president and chief executive of RCBC. Wong had met Digito through a luxury car dealership. The Bautistas, who owned PhilRem, moved in the same circle. And Recto was explicit that he wasn't expecting a confession. In his words, "I don't expect any of you to say that we knew this money would come from an unlawful activity, or that we knew this would come from a heist job or from a cybercrime or a hacking. Then, I don't expect you to say that, but the facts are the facts." The point wasn't guilt. The point was that this network already existed before the money arrived. Nobody had to build a laundering operation from scratch. It was already there, waiting. Kim Wong became the star witness. He testified that he was holding 40 million pesos of the money in the accounts of his Midas Hotel junket operation, and that he was prepared to hand it over. He returned $4.6 million, and he disclosed something worse. By his accounting of the transaction trail, $17 million was simply unaccounted for. He believed it was still with PhilRem. PhilRem denied it. They said every dollar that came to them for conversion was delivered to its intended beneficiary. Somewhere between those two statements, $17 million is missing. Then there is what the casino did. Solaire Resort and Casino, once it worked out what it was holding, seized roughly 107 million pesos from its clients' accounts. Its own security staff entered hotel rooms and, in the words of testimony at the hearing, arrested an unspecified number of clients, all Chinese nationals, recovering about 1.3 million pesos in cash across various foreign currencies. But a casino has no power to detain anyone. The clients were released. They left the country within days. Now hold that against the official response. Solaire, a private company acting on its own initiative, froze 107 million pesos. The Anti-Money Laundering Council, the actual regulator with actual legal authority, had frozen $68,000. 68,000 against 81 million. The lawmakers noticed. Solaire got praised at the hearing. The regulator did not. Digito's conviction and sentence, the RCBC fine, the casino exemption in the Anti-Money Laundering Act, and the final recovery figures, all plausible and widely reported, none are in your four sources. For 5 years, this was a story without a name attached to it. Then, on the 17th of February 2021, the United States Department of Justice unsealed a federal indictment in Los Angeles. 3 North Korean computer programmers, John Chung-hyuk, 31, Kim Il, 27, Park Jin-hyuk, 36. Park had already been charged in a criminal complaint unsealed in 2018. All three, the indictment alleges, were members of units of the Reconnaissance General Bureau, a military intelligence agency of North Korea. In the cybersecurity world, those units go by other names: Lazarus Group, APT-38. And Bangladesh Bank was not a one-off. The indictment describes attempts from 2015 through 2019 to steal more than $1.2 billion from banks in Vietnam, Bangladesh, Taiwan, Mexico, Malta, and Africa by hacking those banks' networks and sending fraudulent SWIFT messages. The same method, country after country, for 4 years. The same indictment ties these units to the destructive attack on Sony Pictures in 2014, to the WannaCry ransomware in 2017, to ATM cash-out operations, and to the theft of tens of millions of dollars in cryptocurrency. John Demers, then Assistant Attorney General for National Security, described them this way: North Korea's operatives, using keyboards rather than guns, stealing digital wallets of cryptocurrency instead of sacks of cash, are the world's leading bank robbers. One thing has to be said plainly: an indictment is an accusation. The defendants are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. None of the three has stood trial. None is in custody. So what actually happened here? A group of people spent months inside a central bank's network, watching its staff work from a server in another country. They wrote software specifically shaped to that one bank's systems, down to the printout the staff would check in the morning. They moved the money on a schedule designed around when nobody would be looking, and on the other side of the world, it landed in a network of accounts, remittance companies, and casino operators who all already knew each other. SWIFT issued a software update within weeks and said its core network was never compromised, only the software running on Bangladesh Bank's own machines. Bangladesh's police disagreed. In the words of Mohammed Shah Alam of the Forensic Training Institute, it was their responsibility to point it out, but we haven't found any evidence that they advised before the heist. Most of the money never came back. And the only thing in that building that could have raised the alarm on the morning of the theft was a printer in the corner of a room, which had already been dealt with months before by someone who understood the bank's routine better than the bank did. Subscribe, and the next one is on screen.